What did I learn from teaching farmers how to tell their story? I'm Tina B, and I'm an intuitive communication coach. And recently, I had the privilege to facilitate an immersive experience with farmers from all over the United States. And the goal for them was how can they tell their origin story? And so many of them came with too much information or not enough. And that's what I've found with the people that I've worked with. So, in this video, I want to give you some insights with how you can tell your business origin story. Because ultimately, people want to take that journey with you so that they can see what you're all about, hear what you have to say, and then connect with that added value that your service or product has for for the possibility of making their lives easier or better. So first off, there's this terminology that comes with marketing, which is you want your client or customer to know, like, and trust you. Well, I would like to shift that around into you want them to like you, then get to know you, then trust you. And how did I do that when I facilitated this workshop? Because I had to gain that foundational trust for them to be willing to then share their story, to learn from me, and to expand and grow. The first piece was how I opened up the workshop, and that was with sharing my own business story of how did I evolve from a communication, consulting, and coaching company into what I am today, which is an intuitive communication coaching company, and to get into the messy. And it's the messy that people love to hear about because who wants to watch a movie that's all about the perfection of, two people meet, they have the perfect life, the perfect house, the perfect dog, car, and all of it becomes boring. We want and desire and need conflict. And so it's setting up the story of how I started, what I went through, that emotional, mercurial time in my life. And in my case, it was COVID really opened my eyes to what's possible. And then where I am today, what I stand for with heart and with integrity. So that's the first piece is get that foundational like as a human, as a person out there to your audience. The second beat then is the knowingness. And as I continued to share story, I needed to establish that authority or credibility that I know what I'm talking about. And I did so through research because people want to know what are the facts. I love Mel Robbins for that very reason, is she has such a profoundly powerful podcast, mainly because she brings on experts, asks them thoughtful questions, and they've done the exploring, the questioning, the curiosity for us to give us, hey, this is what I've learned, and this can make your life better and possibly make a small change so that you can experience different. And for me, it's sharing, okay, why is storytelling so valuable and important? Well, it physically changes the chemistry in our body. Paul Zak is a researcher that looks into it increases the helping hormone of oxytocin. So literally, when you tell story, this is really powerful. It persuades people to want to help you. So if you're a nonprofit, obviously you want partnerships and funding for your projects and for paying your people. Story will get you there, especially if it's heartfelt and centered on your mission. And then it's also establishing that I know what I'm talking about and have that clarity with organizing the information. And specifically in this case, I wanted to focus in on, I had the time constraint of 1 exact hour, and I looked at story structure. Let's break down what is story structure into 3 acts, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and fluidly flow them through that. So they have a knowingness of what to expect because you want to tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. Good old Dale Carnegie has shared us that wise aphorism. And you want to keep your audience in the know. If they start to get confused, then they lose confidence in your ability to communicate. So when you share what you're going to share, and then you actually follow through with what you say you're going to talk about, that establishes more of that likability and that knowingness that I want to get to know this person more, and it builds on that trust. So then by the time I asked for volunteers, I had to build that foundation. I share some of me as the human, that I'm not just an organization who does this thing we call teaching communication effectively and the confidence that it takes to communicate clearly. I'm more than that. I'm a human who's been through things, experienced various other work jobs that, had foundational information to support my work. And then from there, build on my knowingness, my knowledge, so that they can say, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I can listen to her. I can take it in. It can provide me information to help me with my own personal story. Well, the last part of the like, the know, and the trust is how you get them to trust you so that they can stand up and share. And it was because I did all that foundational work, the sharing of myself, the sharing of information, that I knew what I was talking about, that I have this expertise. And then when I asked for volunteers, they were a lot more willing to say, hey, I've got a story. And so one farmer came up, and it was so powerful when he got to share his love of the farm. And it started with an experience with his grandfather and how his grandfather brought joy to walking on the soil, being part of the land, and creating a legacy, which he is doing for his children. And it brought misty eyes to himself from just sharing that emotion. It moved him by just speaking it out loud. And it also moved other audience members to then raise hands to ask questions for clarification and share their own personal stories, their own concerns, their own wonderment of how do I do this? Where are my gaps? And sharing it with heart. And so, as we wrap up this, I want you to lean into that you have a story. And that was something too that I really stressed to this group of farmers, is that all of them are storytellers. Communication strategist John Capecci says we're all natural orators of our own lives. And when we can ground in that foundational knowingness that we are storytellers, that helps, that builds that boost of confidence. Then it's the next piece of exploring what is your story and knowing that it matters. And from there, then you can let the story do the work. Because when you stand in your ground, know your story, share it with heart, people will choose to listen and you will pierce their listening. If this is helpful to you, and if you want more tips and tools with how to communicate with confidence and clarity, and specifically, it's nervous system led communication. And what that means is getting grounded within your being so that you have that mindset of, I can communicate about the thing I want to communicate about, that confidence piece. Then we together can formulate the message, whether it's on video for your business, in person, whatever that looks like, with your teams, and then build on the mechanics that you have, the vocal and physical delivery. That is the fluidity of the work that I do, is getting out of that fear and feeling safe in your body so that you can speak and stand in your truth and share your story. If this is something you'd like to learn more, I'd love to invite you to my website, tinab.com. That's Tina, Tinab, as in beingness, be.com. And when you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get beautiful tips and tools each week of how to communicate effectively. And it has a 3-part freebie that ranges from a meditation to movement and a PDF journal so that you can work towards that mindset, that message, and mechanics. So you are storytellers. You do have a story to tell, and your story matters. So connect with me and remember to be you and be true, because that's magnetic.